Someone disrespected Marcus Aurelius in front of his entire court. A senator, publicly, deliberately, and Marcus Aurelius looked at him and said nothing, not because he had nothing to say, not because he was afraid, but because he had already decided, years before that moment, exactly what disrespect deserved from him. And it was not what the senator expected. Right now, there is someone in your life who disrespects you, a colleague who dismisses your ideas, a family member who belittles you, a partner who ignores your boundaries, someone who makes you feel small and gets away with it. You have tried ignoring it. You have tried confronting it. You have tried being bigger than it. And none of it has worked because you have been using the wrong response system entirely. In the next 25 minutes, I'm going to give you what Marcus Aurelius actually did. Not the philosophy, not the theory, the exact words, the exact silence, and the exact system that made him the most respected man in the ancient world. Stay with me. Every minute of this video matters. Welcome to Memento, Sapiens, ancient wisdom for the modern mind. Today we go deep into one of the most universal and most mishandled experiences in human life. Being disrespected, not theoretical disrespect, real, specific, daily disrespect. The kind that happens in offices, in families, in friendships, in relationships, and leaves you either seething in silence or reacting in ways you later regret. Marcus Aurelius was disrespected constantly, by senators who resented his authority, by generals who questioned his competence, by family members who undermined his decisions, by a world that tested his dignity every single day. And he developed, through years of Stoic practice, the most complete and most effective response system for disrespect ever created. This is the Stoic art of commanding respect without demanding it. Part 1. Why disrespect hurts more than it should, and the real reason you cannot let it go. When someone disrespects you, the immediate pain is obvious. But there's a second layer of pain that most people never examine. And it is this second layer that keeps the wound alive long after the moment has passed. The first layer is the disrespect itself, the dismissive comment, the ignored boundary, the public humiliation, the tone that makes you feel invisible or beneath consideration. That pain is real and immediate. But the second layer is the story that forms immediately after. If they disrespect me, it means I am not worthy of respect. If they get away with it, it means I have no power. If I do not respond correctly, it means something is fundamentally wrong with me. Marcus Aurelius identified this second layer with extraordinary precision. He wrote, "If you're distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." He is not minimizing the disrespect. He is pointing at where the real damage happens, not in the moment of disrespect, in the story you tell yourself about what it means. Here is what most people do when disrespected, and why each response makes it worse. Response 1. Silence from fear. You say nothing not because you have chosen silence, but because you do not know what to say or are afraid of the consequences of speaking. The other person interprets this silence as permission, and the disrespect continues and often escalates. Response 2. Explosive reaction. You respond with anger, with accusations, with the full weight of accumulated hurt. In the moment, it feels like standing up for yourself. In practice, it gives the other person exactly the emotional reaction they wanted, and it makes you look reactive rather than powerful. Response 3. Over-explaining and defending yourself. You try to correct the disrespect with logic. You explain why you deserve to be treated better. You present your case. This is perhaps the most exhausting response, because it positions you as someone who needs to justify their worth to the person who disrespected them. Marcus Aurelius used none of these responses. He used something completely different, and that is what the next section is about. But before we get there, I need to show you something about the person doing the disrespecting that changes how you see the entire situation. Because once you understand what disrespect is actually communicating, about them, not about you, your entire response changes automatically. Part 2. What disrespect actually reveals, and why it has nothing to do with your worth. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that completely reframes how you understand the person who disrespects you. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly, because they cannot tell good from evil. He is not being cynical. He is being diagnostic. A person who disrespects you is communicating something precise, not about you, but about themselves. Here is what disrespect actually says about the person doing it. First, it reveals insecurity. Genuine confidence does not need to diminish others. When someone makes you feel small, it is almost always because making you small is the only way they can feel large. Their need to disrespect you is inversely proportional to their own sense of internal worth. Second, it reveals poor emotional regulation. A person who disrespects others in public, in professional settings, or in front of witnesses is a person who cannot manage their internal state. They are not controlled. They are reactive. And reactive people are not powerful people. They're simply loud ones. Third, it reveals what they fear. The specific content of the disrespect almost always points to what the disrespecting person is most insecure about. They dismiss your intelligence because they fear their own inadequacy. They ignore your boundaries because their own boundaries were never respected. They belittle your achievements because your achievements remind them of their own unrealized potential. Marcus Aurelius faced senators who questioned his philosophical commitments because they were threatened by a leader who valued wisdom over political maneuvering. He faced generals who questioned his military instincts because acknowledging his competence would have required acknowledging their own limitations. The disrespect was always more about them than about him. And here is the practical consequence of understanding this. When you see disrespect as a symptom of the other person's internal state, rather than as evidence of your own inadequacy, your emotional response shifts completely. You move from hurt to observation, from reaction to assessment. And from that position of clear observation, the Stoic response becomes not just possible, but natural, which is exactly what the next section is about. Part 3. The complete Stoic response system for disrespect. 5 levels in exact order. Marcus Aurelius did not have one response to disrespect. He had 5, applied in precise sequence based on the severity of the situation and the nature of the relationship. Most people either under-respond or over-respond to disrespect. The Stoic system calibrates the response precisely, so that it is never less than the situation requires and never more than dignity allows. Level 1. Dignified silence. This is the most misunderstood response in the Stoic toolkit. Most people think silence means weakness. Marcus Aurelius knew that chosen silence, deliberate, calm, sustained, is the most powerful response available. When a senator attacked him publicly, his biographers record that Marcus Aurelius looked at the man with full attention and said nothing. Not the silence of someone who has nothing to say. The silence of someone who has already decided that their piece is worth more than the argument. This level is appropriate when the disrespect is designed to provoke a reaction, when responding would give the disrespecting person more power, or when the relationship is not important enough to invest significant energy. The exact posture: maintain eye contact. Do not look away, that signals discomfort. Do not smile, that signals dismissal. Simply look, calmly, completely. That silence communicates more than any sentence could. Level 2, the single precise sentence. When dignified silence is not enough, when the disrespect requires acknowledgement, Marcus Aurelius used what I call the single precise sentence. Not a speech, not an argument. One sentence, delivered calmly, then silence. Examples of Stoic single sentences. That is not how I will be spoken to. I disagree with that assessment. I think you may have the wrong impression. Notice what these sentences have in common. They are factual, not emotional. They describe your position, not their behavior. They do not invite argument. They close the exchange. After the sentence, silence. Do not explain. Do not justify. Do not invite response. The sentence is a boundary. The silence is the enforcement. Level 3, the clarifying question. This level is for situations where the disrespect may be unintentional or where the relationship is important enough to address more directly. A single question, not accusatory, purely clarifying. Can you help me understand what you meant by that? I want to make sure I heard that correctly. Did you say? These questions do two things simultaneously. They give the person an opportunity to correct themselves if the disrespect was unintentional. And they make it absolutely clear that you heard exactly what was said and are not going to pretend otherwise. Level 4, the direct statement of consequence. This level is for repeated disrespect in important relationships, where the pattern has been established and a clear limit is now necessary. Not an ultimatum, a consequence. When this happens, I will end the conversation. I need this to stop. If it continues, I will step back from this relationship. Notice these statements describe your future behavior, not demands for theirs. You're not asking them to change. You are stating what you will do. This is the distinction Marcus Aurelius made consistently. He never demanded respect. He simply described what would happen when respect was absent. Level 5, the complete withdrawal. This is the final and most powerful level. For situations where all previous levels have been applied and the disrespect continues. No announcement, no speech, no final confrontation. Simply withdrawal of your time, your energy, your presence, your engagement. Not in anger, in clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be." B1. The complete withdrawal is the living practice of that principle. You stop investing in a relationship that has consistently demonstrated it will not honor your dignity. And the withdrawal itself, quiet, complete, without drama, is the most powerful statement you will ever make about your own worth. Part 4. 5 real scenarios, and the exact Stoic response for each. Scenario 1. The disrespectful colleague. The specific situation: a colleague dismisses your ideas in meetings, takes credit for your contributions, or speaks to you in a condescending tone. What most people do: either say nothing and seethe, or react emotionally and damage their professional reputation. The Stoic response. Level 2, the single precise sentence, delivered privately after the meeting. I noticed my idea was presented without attribution. I would like that to be acknowledged going forward. Factual, non-emotional, stated once, not repeated. Then, if it continues, level 4, you stop sharing ideas in open meetings. You document everything in writing. You create the professional distance that protects you without requiring confrontation. Scenario 2. The disrespectful family member. The specific situation: a parent, sibling, or relative who consistently dismisses you, criticizes you publicly, or treats your boundaries as suggestions. The Stoic response. Begin with level 1, dignified silence in public settings. Never engage with disrespect in front of an audience. The audience is part of the power structure the disrespecting person is using. In private, level 4, one clear statement of consequence. When you speak to me this way, I leave. Not to punish you, because I will not participate in conversations that diminish me. Then execute it. Every time, without negotiation. Scenario 3. The disrespectful romantic partner. This is the most emotionally complex scenario, and the one where the Stoic system requires the most courage to apply. The specific situation: a partner who dismisses your feelings, belittles you in front of others, or consistently violates your stated limits. The Stoic response. Level 3 first. The clarifying question: because in intimate relationships, some disrespect is unintentional and worth addressing directly. When you said that, it felt dismissive of something that matters to me. Was that your intention? If the answer reveals lack of awareness, address it directly at level 4. If the answer reveals disregard, the system has given you the clearest possible information about what this relationship is and what it is not. Scenario 4, the disrespectful boss. The specific situation, a manager who publicly humiliates, dismisses, or undermines you in professional settings. The Stoic response. This requires the most careful calibration because the power differential is real and the practical consequences are significant. Level 1 first, always. Never react emotionally to a disrespectful boss in public. In private, level 3. The clarifying question. Not confrontational, genuinely seeking clarity. I want to make sure I understand your feedback correctly. When you said that in the meeting, I heard it as critical of my work. Is that what you intended? This question does several things simultaneously. It names what happened. It gives the person an opportunity to correct course. And it documents, in the interaction itself, that you are aware of what occurred. Scenario 5, the public disrespect from a stranger. The specific situation, someone in a social setting, online, or in public makes a dismissive or disrespectful comment. The Stoic response, almost always level 1. Marcus Aurelius's rule for strangers was precise. Their opinion of you is data, not verdict, not evidence. Data. If the data is worth examining, examine it privately on your own terms. If it is not, let it pass entirely. The energy required to respond to every stranger who disrespects you is energy taken directly from the things that actually matter. Choose where you spend it. Part 5. The element that makes the entire system work and why most people skip it. You can apply every level of the Stoic response system perfectly. You can deliver the single precise sentence with complete calm. You can maintain dignified silence without flinching. You can state consequences and execute them without drama. And if this element is missing, none of it will land the way it should. The element is this. You must genuinely not need the other person's respect to feel respected. This sounds like a paradox, but it is the most precise psychological truth in this entire video. Marcus Aurelius was the most respected man in the ancient world, not because he demanded respect, not because he performed dignity, not because he punished everyone who failed to give it. He was respected because he was genuinely indifferent to whether any specific person respected him or not. He wrote, "The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane." He was not seeking consensus. He was not monitoring approval. He was living according to his values, and the respect was an automatic byproduct of that. Here is why this matters practically. When you genuinely do not need someone's respect, they sense it, not intellectually, but physically, at the level of social instinct that human beings have been calibrated for over thousands of years. And what they sense is, this person is complete without my opinion of them. That completeness is what commands respect automatically. Not aggression, not dominance, not the performance of confidence. Actual completeness. And completeness, in the Stoic sense, is built through one practice and one practice only. Aligning your daily actions with your stated values. In private, when no one is watching, when there is nothing to perform for. Every time you act according to your values when it costs you something, you add a stone to the foundation of your self-respect. And when your self-respect is built on that foundation, external disrespect slides off it. Not because you have become cold or indifferent to others, but because their opinion of you no longer has access to the place where your sense of worth lives. That place is locked from the inside, and you hold the only key. Part 6. 3 documented moments where Marcus Aurelius commanded respect without asking for it once. Moment 1. The Senate opposition. When a large portion of the Senate opposed his legal reforms publicly and persistently, Marcus Aurelius continued. He did not campaign for their support. He did not adjust his position to gain their approval. He simply continued, calmly, consistently, with complete conviction. His historians record that within a year, the majority of his original opponents had not just stopped opposing him. They had become his strongest advocates. Not because he had persuaded them, because his consistency had earned something that argument never could. Trust. Moment 2. The military criticism. Several senior generals questioned his military decisions openly, suggesting that a philosopher was unsuited to lead armies. Marcus Aurelius's response was not to defend his competence. It was to demonstrate it through precise decisions, through personal presence on the front lines, through accountability for outcomes. He never addressed the criticism directly. He simply made it irrelevant. Moment 3. The personal attacks. There are recorded instances of personal attacks on Marcus Aurelius. His character, his relationships, his private life. His response was consistent and documented. Silence, continuation, and occasionally, this single written observation in his journal. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? He understood that responding to personal attacks elevates them. Ignoring them with genuine disinterest, not performed indifference, genuine disinterest, allows them to collapse under their own weight. In every case, his reputation was built not by defending it, but by living in a way that made the attacks absurd to anyone paying attention. That is the model, not image management. Character consistency. The respect that comes from character consistency cannot be taken by any disrespectful person because it was never in their hands to begin with. The complete Stoic art of commanding respect without demanding it. Why disrespect hurts beyond the moment. The second layer is the story you tell about what it means. What disrespect reveals about them. Insecurity, poor regulation, and fear. Never your worth. 5 levels of response. Dignified silence. Single precise sentence. Clarifying question. Statement of consequence. Complete withdrawal. 5 real scenarios. Colleague, family, partner, boss, stranger, with exact responses for each. The element that makes it all work. Genuine indifference to any specific person's opinion of you. How Marcus Aurelius built it. Through character consistency, not image management. There is one sentence from the Meditations that contains everything in this video. Marcus Aurelius wrote it not for the Senate, not for his generals, not for history. He wrote it for himself, in private, at midnight. You have power over your mind, not outside events. The disrespect is an outside event. Your response to it is not. And in that response, in every measured silence, every precise sentence, every calm withdrawal, you are not just handling disrespect. You are building something the disrespecting person cannot touch. Your character, and character built consistently, in private, without audience, is the only foundation for respect that lasts. Share this with someone who has been handling disrespect the hard way. Subscribe to Memento, Sapiens. Every week, ancient wisdom for the life you are actually living. Remember to be wise. Memento, Sapiens.